Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Get Better, my PvP walkthrough series where I break down certain DayZ PvP situations and analyze my decision making process. All the good, the bad, whatever happens in the situation, I go over it and hopefully you learn something from it. So let's go ahead and get started. For a little context, just like the previous episode of this video, I'm playing on Winter Chernarus, so the survival is a bit harder. The cold is harsh, you need to wear warm clothing, make fires, all that good stuff, so that factors into PvP as well. And I am now approaching Zelenogorsk after hearing some shots in the military area. I decided to approach from the north end of town to try and get an overview and see where this guy may have gone. Maybe he stopped for a fire after the fight, maybe he's still looting the military zone. Whatever it is, I decided the North Hill would be the best to try and get eyes on wherever this guy went, if he's still around. And after a little bit of looking and watching and waiting and being patient, because that's what you're supposed to do as a sniper, I eventually rotate to get eyes on the infamous train cart set that is on the outskirts of the military zone. It does spawn military loot, so lots of people loot it, and that's one of the easiest places to both spot and get spotted in the Zelenogorsk military. So I eventually wrap around, get eyes on that, and spot a player in a bright white ghillie suit looting the trains. Eventually catch him in the climb up animation trying to get into one of the trains and decide that's the best opportunity I can get at this distance without moving up and risking losing sight on the guy or risking getting spotted. So I use my suppressor and my distance as an advantage, but I do make one vital mistake. I shoot from a tree. And you might be thinking, well, that's a good idea. You have cover and, snipers are supposed to stay hidden. But no. When you're in a tree in DayZ, there's sometimes some invisible hitboxes where your bullet might get caught. And it will obviously alter the trajectory of the shot. So I was a little too deep into the tree, and even though I have a clear sight in my scope, and it looks like my rifle is sticking out and wouldn't, catch a branch or something, when I do take the shot, you can see immediately you can see a bullet impact, and that ultimately slows down the bullet and causes that shot to miss. I do believe that if the bullet wasn't slowed down by the tree, it may have had a chance to land, so that's pretty frustrating on my end. But nonetheless, I missed, and my next reaction is, even though I shot suppressed, the shot will probably aggro nearby zombies, so I need to relocate and try to find a better angle, because this guy's not going to stay in the trains. He's going to move as well. I need to hurry up and try and counter whatever this guy's movement might be. A lot of this is a guessing game, but if you guess correctly, you can put yourself in a really good position, which I end up doing. So I rotate all the way around up the hill that I came from, and I eventually go down into the town to try and get eyes on the military. I imagine he pushed back and away from the trains to get some more cover and maybe get up higher, somewhere elevated where they can get eyes on me, because I did shoot suppressed, but they probably have a pretty good idea of the few places they could have got sniped at based on, where they were. He opened up that train, the other side was closed, and he got shot at and probably saw the bullet impact nearby. So he probably can put it two and two together that I am on that infamous sniper hill that overlooks the military area. So if I'm him, I try to push back, get some elevation, and get eyes on that hill. With that in mind, I am already rotating down in town, and I know of a few houses that are right above the military that get, kind of an angle, not the best view of the military itself, but it's something. And although I don't spot him, I do end up ultimately spotting signs of that person in the area. If you notice, I am scoped in on a couple zombies, and they have their head tilted. Usually zombies have their head kind of in a neutral position, they're looking ahead or even kind of at the ground. But I spot a couple that have elbows up, which is an indicator that someone aggroed them recently or something pissed them off. And I can see one of them has their head kind of slightly tilted to the right, or slightly angled to the right, which tells me that that zombie recently heard something in that direction. So if you've ever been, crouching around or jogging around a town and a zombie kind of makes a kind of like almost like an inquisitive sound, like I think I hear something but I'm not quite sure, and then they maybe will go to that area and try to spot you, and then they aggro from there. It's the same sound in that process, but when the zombie doesn't end up being able to track down the player or what made that noise, then it just kind of keeps looking over there as if it's waiting for an opportunity to see them. So that's another thing that you can pick up on when you're watching towns. Look at the zombies, and the elbows up is the biggest indicator. That's meta at this point. But also look at their heads. If they're looking in a direction, that could be very telling of where players might be or where they could have passed through. So based on the direction in this case where the zombie's looking, I think two things. Either there's a player in the piano house that is directly in my line of sight, or they're in the fire station. The fire station makes the most sense because that would have, the view that I would be looking for if I was this person that looks onto that sniper hill. So I try to wait and see if maybe this player comes out. Sometimes people get impatient, they try to push away, or they try to rotate as well. So I use my patience to try and see if somebody will move and give me an easier shot, but they don't. So I decide to move down, and I want to get eyes on the fire station. So I leave my house, I crouch walk around, I'm just listening, I'm trying to avoid zombie detection, and I catch a lucky glimpse. This guy was just kind of sat in the doorway on the fire station roof, didn't close the door, and I got an easy peek at him. One shot to the head, they're dead. And as I always do, I push away, I try to avoid the zombie engagement, just in case there's another player around. And if you zoom in on the player that I killed, that does not look anything like the guy that I saw at the trains. So I'm thinking this guy is either a third party, or they may be working together and this guy is, in the fire station with them. So always assume that there's another person, as I've discussed in other, similar videos to this one, and relocate. The suppressor helps hide your location and where you might be, but smart players will be able to put it together. Like, he got shot, he's standing in this doorway, probably came from that way, right? So I immediately push away and go up into the double greenhouse, where I kind of just waited out a little bit until I determine, okay, there's no movement, there's nothing, I'm gonna push over now. And once I do declare, okay, this is probably safe for me to go, I push out the building. There's a zombie right there, unfortunate. And as I begin to fight the zombie, in the background are two white ghillies. One of which is probably the guy that I saw at the trains. And they happen to come right down on me as I'm pushing out and starting to fight a zombie, which is very unfortunate for me. So the first half of this video, I think I play that situation fairly well, and then I just get unlucky with the zombie and the players moving at the same time. Unlucky timing. And that's just something you have to deal with. And now it's all about how I react from this moment on that will kind of impact how the situation might go. And I make a very, very bad mistake. I kind of panic, right? I'm about to fight the zombie. I see two very geared guys behind the zombie, and I don't even finish the fight with the zombie. I just take off running. And my first reaction is, oh god, I hope they didn't see me. I'm gonna run into the building I was just in, because that was like, I guess, a place of comfort, because I was just sat in there. I know it's clear. I don't want to take any chances, and this is bad. It's bad because now, if they did spot me, which, they did, they looked at me, and they probably see the zombie aggro, now I'm stuck up here, and there's two players down below that are very geared, and it's a 2-on-1 situation with me pinned in a building. This is never a fun situation to be in, and I did it to myself. I could have easily, they never took shots at me, right? I could have easily ran past the door, went to the other side of the green double, and used that as cover to completely relocate and give myself a much better position and advantage to potentially take on these guys, or even just retreat and back off entirely. I'm pretty geared at this point, and I don't necessarily need the loot. So, pushing into that building was essentially the worst decision I could have made in that situation. But nonetheless, here we are. I am in the building. I try to stay low, get out my M4, which is a great weapon to have if you need to hold a building, of course. And I stay prone at this doorway. This is actually a really good position to hold. I've used it many times in the past. It's a very narrow doorway, and there's only one point of entry that people can come at you from. They have to go up the stairs, go past it, and to the other side if they want to come at you from two different angles. And even then, the doorway is so narrow, it's very difficult for a team of two or more to sit in that doorway and shoot at you at the same time. But things change pretty quickly when they pull out a grenade launcher and pox my entire second floor. Now, my first reaction, as yours probably would be, is to run. If you sit in the pox gas too long, you'll get sick and basically throw up blood until you die. It's pretty rough, and it doesn't give you a lot of time to react. But lucky for me, and you might think this is scripted, but this was an entire adventure that I went on. I had a whole gas suit. I went into the gas zone on the server. That's where I got my M4, stuff like that. And I still just happen to have the gas suit on me. So I immediately remember I have the suit in my backpack, and I might as well use it to my disposal because they'll never expect me to have that. So if I can put it on really quickly and just lay prone and not make any noise, they might think that I just, logged out or I bled out and whatever. So that's what I did. I quickly put on the NBC suit thinking they would never expect me to have a full suit when they launch a poxnade into the room that they're going to push. And yeah, I sit there. Until I realized that my boots never went on. I did drag the boots on just like I did every single other piece of the NBC equipment, but for some reason, the boots decided they wanted to go into my inventory and not on my person. So every other piece I dragged off of me and then dragged on the corresponding NBC suit piece, and the boots just decided not to go onto my person. Just into my inventory, as you do. Now, I know I didn't take my hunter boots off, and that's ultimately what got me screwed over, but, I just wish it would be consistent with the swapping. So this ultimately screws me. I don't realize until it's already too late, and I get the blood illness. Now, I can survive long enough for the gas to go away, and for them to potentially push, and my plan could still kind of work. I would just be basically dying to this blood illness anyway, but my goal is just to get out of the situation and go from there. So I wait out the gas with the NBC suit on, and eventually the gas goes away. At this point, I decide to keep holding, but they hear me coughing. They know I'm still there. The plan doesn't work out, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. And because they know I'm still there, because of the coughing, they end up poxing me again. So my filter's running low. I know I can't survive another round of this between the filter and me losing and coughing up blood at an extremely fast rate. So I need to push down. I push down to the bottom stairs, hoping one of them pushes me. They don't. They play it smart. It's a 2-on-1. They know I'm screwed. They know I probably have the disease or the illness, whatever. And they just hold outside. I just try to make my very best guesstimate of where they might be. I heard them before fighting zombies across the street. I figured it was in this little garage door opening. So I kind of look around the corner. I start pre-firing to maybe throw them off, but they keep moving. I gotta get the pre-fire didn't scare them off, especially once they heard an M4. But they played it very, very nicely. By the time I ended up actually detecting where this player was across the street, which he ends up being in the window next to the garage door opening that I anticipated him being. By the time I noticed that, I'm already spraying it, hoping to drive them back and be able to run out, but by the time I react, I'm basically already dead. So, that's that. Now, I know this is a very niche situation, and one you probably won't find yourself in very often, but I do feel like it is a good example of, one, relocating when you take shots and how that can benefit you, especially if you try to anticipate the other player's movement. I take the shot at the ghillie at the train, understand that he probably knows the direction that it came from despite my shot being suppressed. I relocate and I kill potentially one of their teammates, or if that's a third party, it is what it is. Maybe I just got lucky, but relocating still put me in a good position to take someone else out and save myself. But it's also a good situation to take note of because of my split-second decision-making. I share this situation with you in hopes that you can see how important split-second decision-making can be and how impactful it can be for the outcome of a fight. in this situation. I don't make the best decisions in the moment. I'm slow with my reaction time and noticing that I'm actually dying of, POC exposure because I don't have my boots on. And as a consequence, for my bad decision making and poor reaction time, I end up dying to this duo. Even though I may have the gear and the skill and the knowledge of the game to take on this duo. I've done it in the past. I've taken on bigger teams in the past. But because I made bad decisions, bad choices, and had bad reaction time, that's what lost me the fight. So, obviously I can't train you in reaction time and in the moment decisions. That's something you have to work on yourself. But at the very least, you can hopefully understand the importance and the essence of making decisions and smart decisions and the right decisions in the moment. You might not always do so, but you can learn from my mistakes here, and maybe your mistakes in the past and your successes in the past, and make them successes for the future. So that's it for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys really have been giving me a lot of good feedback on these PvP walkthroughs and tutorials. So, if you want to keep seeing them, make sure to give this video a like. Make sure to comment something like, "We want more," or maybe give me specific examples and situations you see myself in, or other people in, or yourself in. Feel free to send me in a clip in my Discord page, which you can find the link in the description below. But that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.